Thank you. So my name is Cristián. I work in the Qt company for a few years now. Maybe you have seen me in other events, usually talking about Qt for Python. But today, I just not want to talk about Python, but many other languages as well. Well, you can find me there on social media. In case you have questions, I will stay around until Think It Tuesday. So don't be afraid if you find me on the corridor, just to ask me anything you have. So since we are talking about more programming languages, I want to take it slow and not be very opinionated on this talk. So let's start slow with all this talk. So the first question is, what is the best programming language? Is anyone brave enough to shout which one is it? Exactly, see? Not the same answer. Assembly, of course. So yeah, usually you get asked this question by people that is starting in programming, and I feel very old when they say, well, it depends, but that usually is a reality. Of course, we all know about it. But of course, people read surveys and they see results. You have been familiarized with TOV index and stuff that recently, for example, last month, even Python got a 10% something increase. You still see C++ there. I think it was a few months ago when C++ passed C. So you will say, well, that's not really relevant because whatever, okay, so there are other surveys as well. So you can take, I don't know, Stack Overflow survey. Again, I would say that this is prominently with more beginners. But even though you see there as professional developers, well, lots of people using JavaScript, of course, then you have like Python, C#, Java, PowerShell, C++ at the bottom there. It's a different, of course, story when you have learning to code people that they are more focused on maybe some easy language in a way that, well, Python is still the king there, as you saw before in the TOV index. But as I told you, and if you see everyone combined, of course, the result is quite similar to the professional ones. So usually what happened to me, at least, when I started to learn in the university, I really was one of these people that took one programming language and tried to solve everything with that one. Little by little, of course, I understand that the solution is not like just having one hammer, but having a toolbox of this thing. And this is something that I believe that in the Qt ecosystem we have been, I don't want to say suffering, but like being part of, is that sometimes we were very focused on of course, C++, the implementation, but we have seen out there that more languages are playing an important role, right? In many other fields, and people want to use other languages, right? So just as a recap, in case you have been living under a rock, the languages and the Qt project, as you know, since the release in early stage C++, then you can say that's not the official QML logo, but still, in 2010, then PySide was started to be developed in 2011, later on was accepted in 2018, and currently or in the future, we are really exploring, at least from the Qt company, like which are all the languages that should be part of the Qt ecosystem, right? So far, as you might be familiar, the approach of integrating more programming languages has been bindings, right? So I guess that we are on the same page here. If you're familiar with that wiki page, I was very impressed last time that I checked it, that there were so many new languages that are having some bindings for Qt. You can go there, and there are like even languages that you don't even know, like there is a Ring Qt apparently for the Ring programming language. But I would say, at least for me, these were the more like attractive one and more important ones and more used ones. So you see that Python, of course, has been around for a long time for PyQt, which is developed by the Riverbank Computing, PySide, which is the LGPL version from the Qt company as well. And then you have Rust, like previous efforts like Qmeta Object are the crate there, or CXXQt, lately developed by Kato. To my surprise, there is another set of bindings that is usually very up to date, which is Qt Who knows Qt here? Good, so a few hands. The person behind, I think it is one person, has been also managed to, doing the releases and everything, so it seems like it's also, there might be a lot of Java developers interested in the Qt ecosystem. And there are other languages there, if you're not familiar with Julia or with Nim or with Zig, but they're really interesting. So this is nothing new, of course. Volker said, like long time ago, in the Academy 2022, that the idea also for the future of Qt ecosystem was to have more programming language integrating into it. And again, even there, the idea was not new. I mean, many people I have encountered in the Qt project that said, yeah, long before I said that we should have more programming languages and so on and so forth. So it's something that you should not be unfamiliar with because it has been the message for a long time. So the motivation so far has been that, of course, other languages might need UI frameworks like we have in Qt. C++ is very flexible to create bindings for other languages. Well, flexible is not the same as easy, but flexible. Also, it's good to do like language showcase, like, oh, you know, Qt, also we made some bindings for this newly written programming language. And also Qt's popularity. So what other languages bring to the table when we are talking this thing from the point of view of the Qt ecosystem? I cannot talk about all of them, but I can only talk about Python and Rust, which has been, in my opinion, the most popular bindings that we have so far. So in the case of Python, I usually like to show this snippet of code. You should not be able to read it, don't worry about it. It's a very simple QMain window with a push button. And I always try to push this code to say, like, look at how simple Python can be, right? Everything in one file, you don't need to compile, only a few lines, and that's it. Very successful, people is happy about it, I'm happy with it. Another very important point about Python itself is that how many areas Python has been thriving, like you can take like web development, data science recently with all the AI, and even embedded systems. So people is really using this as an example of how to get into different areas and lowering the barrier for people to start doing things in those fields. I mean, before MicroPython, for example, or Scratch, going into embedded system was very tricky. I mean, you need to learn C, and we learned the talk before that people don't like C. And something very interesting as well is the packaging and tooling around it. I think that one of the things that make Python very popular, at least within the Qt ecosystem, is that you could install it by one line command line, pip install pyset6, and that's it. You cannot beat that because I don't know which C++ libraries do you use besides Qt, but I'm certain that the installation process is not as simple always. And something very interesting, though, is that we noticed that a lot of real-life applications were combining C++ and Python. I was very surprised that the VFX industry, most of the UIs that are built with Qt, they do have scripting languages on top in order to enable people to have add-ons and extend those things. And also, again, lowering the barrier for people to write some nice plugins for whatever you are using your Qt and C++ interfaces. So this also was very important, a very critical thing for people to start using it more. But this talk is not about Python. If you want to read more about Qt for Python, those are very interesting links. The URL thing will be posted in the channel. So now we can talk about a little bit of Rust. How many Rust developers do we have in the... I was expecting, so I feel now. Rust is not, no, I don't have anything about Rust. So if you're not familiar with Rust, since we don't have many Rust developers, little snippets of code that maybe are terrible written, but at least it compile when I try them out. So you want to find some similarities between C++ and Rust, so you are not very scared when we talk about Rust. Again, similar thing, you start to see, oh, big difference now, oh, Rust doesn't have classes. But anyway, you can find your ways around to try to implement something very similar to object-oriented programming there. So you are now a little bit familiarized with Rust, so you're not afraid when we are talking about. In my opinion, for example, after all the experience with the many ways of interacting with Rust and Qt, I believe that CXX Qt did an amazing job into trying to be the tool for all the Qt developers that wanted to sprinkle some Rust into their applications. If you know about this project, of course, you can check it out there. But in a nutshell, as it's described, it's a safe FFI between Rust and C++. It's very idiomatic. They use procedural macros in order to generate the bindings. They have also a really cool thing that you can use Rust thread to update the Qt state. And of course, it's still in development because bindings are difficult. You need to do a lot of things in order to cover every single corner case. This worked very well, in my opinion, for Qt developers, for everyone that was aware of Qt. This is at least the problem that I always see in that, because we announce new things and we announce it where? In Academy, Qt Contributor Summit, Qt World Summit. So everyone knows Qt. So you are like, yeah, maybe another language that I can try, right? And even for KDE developers lately, I have been very happy to see that at least a lot of people has been working in also the integration of enabling people to write a Kitigami application with Python and also with Rust. So if you are interested with this, there is a session later on that I'm very interested. Yes, so Nicolas there. So there is a question in the title, so I'm really curious about what is the answer. Maybe yes, maybe no. So yeah, if you're curious about that, it's something that also has been very important in the KDE ecosystem. But then the question is always, what about everyone that is not aware of Qt? And I'm sorry to break this to you, but there is a lot of people that have no idea that Qt exists. And this was a very like a cold water bucket that the first time that I started to go to Python conference thinking that everyone knew the Qt framework was so old and everyone used it and PyQt existed before. And to my surprise, when I was asking in this audience, like, who knows Qt? Literally 5 hands at most. Because most of the new developers were not very familiar with it, and there were many other frameworks, at least in the Python ecosystem, that were offering things for them to build small and simple user interfaces. Because we know that Qt is very good for professional development and everything else, but most of the people starting programming, what do they want to do? A little calculator, a button that does something like that, or even exposing some data to have a nice desktop application that can help them to, publish some little software and stuff. So it was very strange for us. So it was at least giving us the idea that we might need to explore other ways of bringing Qt to people. I want to go back to the case that we had before. How many people here is familiar with Python code? Okay, many of you is familiar with PySide or PyQt? Okay, still a few hands. So when I showed you this before, and we showed specifically this code, you, as a Qt developer, you will read this and say, everything makes completely sense. But now try to put yourself into the mind of a Python developer that have never seen Qt. You are telling a few things here. So first of all, yeah, it's normal for us that you will be inheriting from some Qt classes and implemented some methods. You need to understand how the Qt API will work. By the way, don't forget to connect your buttons with this to a slot, the signal to a slot, and also in the case of Python, you need to decorate your slots with the slot decorator that, of course, is come from Qt Core. And yeah, by the way, this is an application. You need to start the event loop and make sure that you are exiting as well with the app exit, the same return code. You are asking Python developers to write a Qt application from scratch, which is completely different to most of the cases like I have my Python code and I want to have some application user interface, right? So this idea is something that was bothering me and many people, at least in the Qt project overall, that we need to really start to think like what else we can do about it. So as I said, this might feel very not natural and a lot of extra work for people to start. Even time to time I get questions like, hey, how can I get started with PySide in Python forums? And it's like, oh yeah, read the tutorial. But the moment they start to read and they see all the signals, slot, whatever, everyone gets scared. So we need to try to think like how we can expose this thing. There are other things as well that when we are exposing Qt and C++ in general as a binding for other languages, we are kind of like forcing that language, like, please tell me how to do these things. I always try to put the example that everyone is familiar here with a void star, right? What is that in Python? We don't know, right? So we need to try to, well, this will be a pointer, a reference, or something. You need to start to figure out and forcing the language that maybe is not designed to that to understand this concept and try to interpret this concept. And this is very complicated. So then the question, how can we include other languages without breaking all these paradigms for languages? I believe that, in our opinion, it will be this new idea that we have, which is called Qt Bridges so far. I don't know if this is the final name. This was recently announced in the Qt World Summit as one of the new research projects that we have around bringing more languages into the Qt ecosystem. I never see names in technical slots. I just want to give a shout out to the team that we have at the moment. Recently, a lot of people got involved of the initial 5 people. But maybe you recognize one of those names maybe from Gareth if you are contributing to Qt. But yeah, in case you have any questions, you might have seen the PM of the project, which is Vladimir, and I am currently the technical lead until they'll fire me. Now, there are more people involved as well, people trying to think about what is the best way of showing and having documentation for this kind of project, because now it's not only like, Qt C++ API. We need to mix a lot of things, and languages have documentations in different formats. You need to parse them. Should we use QDoc? Should we use the local thing? There's a lot of decisions to make. So the new approach, I tried to steal this diagram from a previous Contributor Summit presentation. Usually when you have your application, the language bindings are something kind of like in the middle where you can kind of touch what Qt is doing by the language, as we saw before, trying to have these Python classes or everything from the application itself. But the concept that we have with bridges is that we want to really split the idea of your application and the UI that you will have. And this will be with this middle layer that you see there, which is called a bridge. So as I said, splitting backend from the UI, mostly because we want to reduce the Qt footprint from the backend. and we want to have people maybe in a situation that they could have the same application written very similar. And also, we are still working on instantiable types as well by using some QML private API, because why not? But it's still in progress. So the little implementation detail that we have here is that at the beginning we were envisioning these ideas. We thought, nice, so we can have the same code that just changed the code and everything should be the same, only maybe changing the, I don't know, brackets or something that the programming language will use. But then we noticed that, well, not really, because the concept of each language will be completely different. Like while in Rust we're using procedural macros, in Python we might need to use decorators, or in other languages like Swift we might need to have observable types. So even though it would be nice to have like a little tab to change and it's the same code changing in 2 lines, the whole implementation is completely different depending on the language. Another thing that we are still envisioning and still working on it is that the package distribution is something critical. I cannot tell you, and I hope my employer doesn't listen to me, but I cannot tell you like you need to go to the Qt installer to install the package in Swift, and then you need to export it, and then it makes no sense. We need to play with the rules of the new programming language that we want to. If you want to go to Swift, do what Swift people do. If you want to go to Java, do what Java people do. So this is very interesting for us because so far we are exploring, as we knew from Rust, from Python already, but for other options as well, like C#, like having nugget packages, so configuration that the C# developers can feel comfortable by developing in this thing and not forcing or imposing the way that we are all supposed to do it, right? Similar to that, development environment, it's something that I have been personally struggling with, because even though we love Qt Creator and we have adding support for Python Qt Creator, I know that Python developers don't use Qt Creator. Some of them do, but again, if you want to play by the other programming language rules, we need to go with other programming language R. So if you are using, I don't know, C-Lion for your C# development for some reason, or for C development, whatever, we go there. PyCharm, Rust Rubber, anything. We might need to have this thing in mind that we need to provide ways for you in your development environment to develop these applications, which is very hard because also we need to do plugins there. So different languages, different IDEs for sure. I know, just again to know your opinion about it, how many people here is using Visual Studio Code? Yeah, still kind of half of the majority. Qt Creator? I like your pride. I'm like, yes. Good. So see, different scenarios, different realities for everyone. I really don't want Visual Studio Code people to go to Qt Creator, or Qt Creator people to go to Visual Studio Code, and so on and so forth. Something very important. Since we announced this new project, we have been getting a lot of questions of like, but how can I do like whatever? So even if I hope you don't feel excluded by the target users of this project, as I told you before, are new developers, right? You can try, you can join, you can do things, but it's most likely that not everything that you're used to do with Qt will be able to do with Qt bridges. Because our goal, of course, to expand the communities, because otherwise it would be an echo chamber. If I present you new something here, some of you try it, yay, then we high five, continue next year, some people try it as well. We are not bringing more people to the room, so it's very tricky. A sneak peek then. I will show a few snippets of code. As always, they're not final. You might not be able to read it. I tried to put it in the slide so it is visible, but you can see the URL afterwards. But yeah. So one of the first examples that we did, we have more, but just to try it out, just to have the proof of concept of this, was a simple application where you can add some strings, you can remove them, you can edit them, and it doesn't allow you to get duplications of those strings, right? So you see here the QML code. So not so well, it's a bit long, but it's not so complicated to understand. And so then we will figure out how a backend for this thing in the many languages will look like. I hope you can read them. So the first one is C#. By the way, I discovered this is the logo of C#. I was using the old one, and apparently this is the new one. But anyway, if you're unfamiliar with C#, simple function on the left so you don't get scared. A few features that if you were curious about it, most of the memory management, it's interesting. Being kind of like very type safe and having struct typing for Windows, and being kind of like the first programming language that Windows development uses. There are many other, like the standard library they have is quite large, sorry. And they have many features as well, like many other languages, async await, generic lambda expression, whatever. So the reason that, at least in my opinion, that we choose this C# is because, again, still C# is the king in Windows development, so we don't want to neglect that, even if most of us are using Linux. We need to, of course, include people that are using Windows for some reason. And yes, we had some experience before that there was this Qt.NET. Maybe you have heard about it, you have seen it before. Some people in the company were playing around in order to integrate .NET and Qt applications. The .NET ecosystem is very large as well. They have their own conferences, they have all the events and stuff, so yeah, more people around. And even the tool is not that great, in my opinion. It's very useful compared to everything what they have with Visual Studio and all the other things, Nugget packages. So this is how it would look like. I'm very sorry if you cannot probably read, but as I said, later on you can check the URL. You have here on the side, you have like a class backend. You are implementing with some unique string list model that of course is implemented in the bridge side. And then you have a few functions that is add string, duplicate found handler, one duplicated found. But as you can see, and you can spot the Qt mentions on this code are quite minimal. So you have a namespace, an import, and of course the model will have something here, but everything else is C#. And the main, of course, you need more Qt stuff there, so you can load the QML file and try to wait for the event loop to finish. So reducing Qt footprint in the code that is using as a backend. So we go for Swift. If you're unfamiliar with Swift, again, little code there so you feel more comfortable. Safety and performance, modern syntax. It's a very interesting story. I mean, I was not very familiar with Swift, and when I started to read like how the whole thing started or the people involved in the language was like, whoa, okay. But it's really cool. They have an interpretive mode as well. And again, after all the features and things that they have, the reason is that it's still the default language for macOS development. Because again, people doing that, they just open Xcode and they start to do things, or people doing iOS development. So there were some previous effort. I remember a couple of World Summits ago, I think one of our colleagues, Arne, was showing me a new test that you can find some Swift code into related to a quick application. And I think it was translated afterwards in a test. So, well, we had some at least know-how that, of course, you can link them together. And internally at Apple, they have been pushing a lot for Swift to be more like a good programming language for Linux and Windows. I don't know if you have tried them. At least I tried on Linux and it worked. But on Windows, I have no idea. So again, we don't need to neglect. If you want to go to Apple developers overall, we need to try to go and play by the rules. Similar idea here. As you can see, things are starting to change. We have a little bit more cute things on the left side. There is now a decoration here on the class Qt bridgeable, and then we have a couple of observable types, and then edit string, add string, but again, nothing else that explicitly have Qt code. So a Swift developer can check this code and say, yeah, that makes sense. Only this little decorator on the top. Of course, for starting the thing, you need to have, of course, more stuff. Like the list model is something that is provided by the bridge, and then you need to deal with setting the root for the QML and launching the application. But we believe that at least this is completely an improvement compared to the binding situation. The videos are not being reproduced. I had some little videos after each language, but you will see it if you open in Firefox. I think that this might not be. But you have a little demo of the code being compiled, and then the application popping up and doing some stuff, but I'm missing those. Java, don't go. Please, I know it's not the most loved language, but it's very used, and you cannot neglect this. I mean, having a more heterogeneous community also implies that we might need to include languages that you might not like, but maybe they will be a good user base with new ideas or things how to improve this thing. So if you are, for some reason, you are not familiar with Java, a little code on the left again. Well, I will not say many things. I mean, I guess that everyone will be familiarized with it, but no. The memory management they have, all the platform independence. I think I was also even doing the Java applets at some point. Why? I don't know. And yeah, they have like good security, at least with the bytecode verification, which is a feature that I really like. But yeah. The main idea, at least, that why we picked Java is for the experience that we have, because in Qt, you know that you can develop for Android. And also, similar to Android, we have some offerings regarding Qt Automotive that also mixes some Java as well. We have a project that also we're generating some code called QtGenny that you can check out. And as I told you before, there is an active third-party library that allows you to have bindings for the Qt project, which is very interesting in my opinion. So it is something that is important, and at least we cannot neglect it. Here is how the code will look like. These have a little bit more of Qt-related things, because as I said, languages implementing differently. You have here at least some declaration to the class, a special callback, which is nothing else than an interface that we have here, the state, the model is, but in a nutshell, at least you can see that the add string and update and remove are something that could just feel very familiar with Java developers. I still get nightmares about how you need to declare the main in Java. But anyway, again, video that you will see later on because it's not here. And another interesting feature is that you get kind of for free the Kotlin interoperability. Who knows Kotlin here has using it? I guess that you all feel that there's a language that was created from Java developers that wanted to have Python, and then they said, we cannot have Python, we have Kotlin now. No, but it feels very comfortable at least, and that's a good thing because then we got a new language. I mean, there are Kotlin conference and stuff, so more people that we can bring to the Qt ecosystem. So now I want to talk about Python, and you will say, wait, why? Because you already had Python. But yeah, well, it's a different story. So again, most of you are familiar with Python. I will not bore you with all the different features that the language has. But most of our motivation, at least for picking Python as a language, is that we had a lot of experience with Q for Python already. The whole binding generation process, the reflection of QML types, is still the most popular language according to those two surveys. If you have another survey, let me know. I can put it in the slide, but still the most popular language out there, and the interoperability with many technologies. I was briefly discussing before that currently in the Python ecosystem, if you're not very close to it, a lot of people is rewriting a lot of tools in Rust. For some people, it's like, what is faster? But there's a lot of like Rust things happening within the Python ecosystem, so it's a very good thing that we are still around with both languages. Again, this is the application that you might see. You are saying, wait, but this is way longer than you had before. Well, kind of, but if you really close look the left code and you start to search for Qt-related things, I think that the only one will be this one, this line. Everything else is a normal Python class. Everything else is just Python properties and so on and so forth. So we don't have anything Qt, well, besides, of course, imports for launching the application, but we reduce a lot the footprints there. So video there, imagine a Python application being launched. And Rust, similarly to the Python story, I don't want to worry with all the features of the language, so we maybe have some time for questions, but as you know, very popular programming languages, safety being kind of like one of the main pillars of the language, so I guess that everyone wants to start using it. In my opinion, one of the highest thing for me is that Cargo is an amazing tool, at least for my experience. I love to have that in more programming languages. But yeah, Rust again, and you might think, well, but you had CXX similar to what you had with Python. Yes, but there are some experience there. And one of the points that I want to make is that we believe that both C++, CXX Qt and PySide are perfect tools, frameworks for Qt developers to include those languages to applications. But the whole idea of this, as I said before, and I will sound like a broken record, is to go for Rust developers and Python developers in order to bring them to the Qt ecosystem. So as you see, Rust is very popular. That's why KDE even is adding bindings for it. And the ecosystem is growing like crazy. And as I said, tooling is my favorite thing. Again, how it looked like, sorry for the small font, but you can check it out afterwards. We have a couple of procedural macros there in order to expose the backend. You have the data also doing here some very Rust-related things. For the slots, we'll see are using a macro. But again, the footprints that we are, the Qt footprint here in the code is quite minimal, again, compared to CXX Qt, for example. But again, different functionalities, different use cases. So again, video, imagine the REST application being popping up. A note here. I'll show you some snippets. These are still internal. There's most likely will change. If you have an idea, you can always talk to me. And also, it's one specific example. I told you before, we're working on instantiable type for QML. We have like maybe 2 or 3 more demos or examples that we want to have ready in order when we have the release. So yeah, don't take this as the final word. So brief, frequently asked question based on all the comments that I have been getting from people. Maybe you have more, so feel free to do that. So we can go there and do a little tour there. But I need water first. So, first one, maybe you will, I already saw some angry faces. What about this language that I use and it's the most important language ever? Well, one of the things that we want to enable is that maybe we can have documentation well enough for people to start adding more bridges to the offering. So if you have any favorite languages, and these are all the languages that we have kind of like here, people like, oh, but what about, they are there. Bonus points if someone tell me which language is this one. Good. Yeah, Glim. Amazing programming language. Go and check it out. Another question. What about this feature that is essential to all Qt applications, and if you don't have it, this project will die and you're wasting money and whatever. So again, the scope of the project is important. There might be many features that are missing. Maybe we will start adding it, but it really depends on the use cases that we have in mind. And as I told you before, like 5 times already, it's mostly for people to feel like they are doing things in their own languages. So many things might need to have more Qt intervention or more Qt-related isms in the code that might not be very positive for the experience, but let's see. Maybe the thing works out and we add more things. So what if you need more? It's not enough to just populating some list of strings, because most of your applications, I hope, are more like displaying a list of strings on a UI. Well, in that case, the idea will be to direct people to all the set of bindings that we have. If you want to do more with Rust, you do CSS Qt. If you want to do more with Python, you do PySide, and so on and so forth. Or if you want to go back to the old way, you go and write everything for C++. Well, it's not the very encouraging for new users, but at least we are giving the entry tools for people to start doing simple applications. You might think, so you are not developing more bindings? Yes, the development bindings will be still ongoing because, as I said a million times already, different use cases. So why is only Qt Quick? Because we love Qt widgets. Well, again, I don't want to go into that framework, but we believe that, of course, Qt Quick is kind of more modern and attractive way of creating UIs. To my surprise, many new Python-related frameworks are using declarative files in a way to define the interfaces, so it's something that is still getting around. So will you support everything that QML can do? Well, no, again, it really depends on the adoption that we have with the project and the use cases that if we want to make them valid. So don't expect every single feature from QML to work. Can you combine all the languages in one application? Well, not really for the technical preview, but maybe if you're brave enough, you can give it a try, but at least what we want to aim is to have at least the interchangeability of the backend for the different languages. Do you want to bring C++ developer with this project? Well, exactly. Will this be open source? Of course, I believe that that's the key for getting anyone, because if you put a lot of fences between people, nobody will jump into this thing. So we need to play by the language's rules, where they do, conference they go, package manager, ways of installing everything in order to bring more people to the community. When this will be released? Well, we initially thought that the release will be around November. We still don't have a fixed date, but we expect to have at least a first technical preview this year. Famous last words. No, but we hope. So to summarize, what does it mean to have more languages with Qt bridges? I really, really believe that means that more communities can get together. We can have maybe a larger academy in a few years. More ideas. I have the feeling that every time that we look into other programming languages, when you get weirded out, like why they are doing, like, oh, they are doing it because of that. You get these ideas. And you can see this thing in C++ 23 or 26, that there are many features of the languages that, of course, come from other programming languages. So inspiration is very cool. Even for the Qt ecosystem, I think it will be crucial for not getting into the same level and having more new stuff around. New expertise, of course. You will get experts in the language that will tell you that no, the way that you did it there is completely wrong, or yeah, oh yes, that's the way that we do it, so thank you for that. So new faces and new people contributing. And another thing, of course, is that better ecosystem, in my opinion. If we have more languages, we can have different opinions rather than having like only a fight of, I don't know, 2 programming languages. We can fight about 6 programming languages. So it's even better. And the most important thing, of course, as I always want to say, is that, is that I want to bring Qt everywhere. So thank you very much, and maybe you have some question now.
Awesome. We have like 5 minutes, so who'd like to go first? I think. No, you're
Hi, thanks. Can you give some examples for things that are not going to be part of the use case, or what you will be able to do with Qt bridges, and perhaps a rationale for why? No. Just you won't be able to use the Qt network classes to build an HTTP server because Python already has stuff for that, or something like that.
And I was completely against of exporting Qt network and all those things, and there was a lot of Qt developers that, no, I need the Qt API to do this thing. I don't want to use Python, HTTP and stuff. But yeah, so far at least the other use cases are mostly around item models in general. So this is at least the starting point that we're having for the TP. We have a couple of other demos, but in a nutshell, it's kind of like exposing a little bit of data between the Qt Quick and the other languages. So besides this use case, we don't have many more so far. But if you have ideas.
So one question from the chat, which relates to the fact that we're here at a KDE conference. Is there a way to use some existing Qt-based C++ libraries like KDE frameworks while writing most code in another language?
That's a great pitch for my talk. Then I will play the Nicolas card, and then Nicolas can reply that afterwards.
I have a statement and a question. The statement, as a representative of the CXX Qt team, we are very impressed by this. We think it's a great idea. We're working together on making sure that we have a shared base library of types so that you can extend things you have built with the bridges by way of CXX Qt. So we very much think these things are complementary, orthogonal, and we are working with Qt Company to make sure that they work well together. Particularly in KDE, I think this will be important because you guys will want to use probably more than just QML and list views in other languages, and Rust specifically. The question is, you've chosen to take a runtime approach where you're generating everything basically dynamically at runtime. And I know you've done that in Python too, and it seems to work there okay. Are you worried at all about the performance impact of that?
I'm getting my exercise today.
Yes, of course, yes. I mean, there are other issues as well with performance related or even times. For example, in C#, we currently are dealing with a thing that we are generating a lot of code, so we have a longer compile time, as you might be familiar, because we talk about it already, similar to the Rust ecosystem. Like doing this thing at runtime might be something that the Rust people will say, why are you doing this? But yeah, that's I think that our goal first is just to put the TP out and maybe have how people feel about it. Because at some point you might find people that say, well, this is taking longer to compile, or the whole execution or something. But at least I'm getting something nice out of it. Some people might not say that, or say, no, it's impossible, if it doesn't compile or do something in 1 second, then we don't use it. But I think we will kind of like are expecting for the reaction of people firstly, before trying to push the patch before the wound. But yeah, it might be also a lot of time.
So I think we have one more, and I'm not running.
Sort of related to Till's question about the runtime aspect of it. A lot of the recent improvements in Qt and QML were around the QML tooling, knowing better about the C++ types and being able to do autocomplete for like properties and types defined in C++. Are we going to lose all of these improvements when we do different languages with runtime things injected and less of that compile time thing that's happening right now?
yes, we are killing the QML project. No. At the beginning, of course, we might see some issues there, but I am certain that Fabian and the whole team will be more than happy to apply all the same performance improvement to all the other languages. Right, Fabian? Yes, see? He was... Yeah, but it could be that happened. I mean, that's the thing that we want to do, the TP, just to see what is the people reaction. But yeah, it could be that in the future we need to improve it further on. There's another question, but I don't know if we have time.
We can just squeeze it in.
And it's a little bit of a trollish one. Are you going to do a bridge for C++?
You need to add us to Volker if you have time enough after the Q-range model. Maybe now you are ready to have the official bridge for C++. No, but why not? I mean, it could be something that we can minimize the boilerplate code because we have a lot of boilerplate in Qt. So maybe, I don't know, if people get motivated enough, then this can be something for discuss for the BOFs in a couple of days.
Awesome. So if we can all put our hands together for Cristián. So we have a coffee break until 3:30. Kevin and Arjan, can you come and see me, please?